As we think about what the meaningful revolution is, how it applies to you in your life, how do we work a little bit every day on the things that light up our souls, that make us feel more passionate, make us feel like we're living our lives. The question of how are we living a good life? How are we showing up and leading with service? These types of questions. How are we making an impact with the people that really matter about us? That's what this podcast is about. And primarily, it's been through talking through personal development topics. But my favorite is interviewing people and interviewing people about things that they're passionate about and about the things that light them up and the things that can show the way on we have agency in our lives to make choices to live the life that we want and to follow those meaningful pursuits, because it's so important that we tie the things that we're doing in our life to things that matter to us, of course. So with that said, today on the podcast, I wanted to talk to you about what are your meaningful pursuits? What are the things that get you up in the morning, excited for the day, excited for the week, excited for the month, excited for the year, and help you drive you forward? My hope for everyone who listens and for everyone that comes through my coaching practice is that they live a happy life and they live a life where they feel like they're making a difference. And with that said, what is the difference you're trying to make? And I'll put that question to you and we'll get back to it periodically throughout this episode. But really, we know that throughout the history of humans, right, that really what makes people happy is some type of service to others, family and relationships, important relationships. So family relationships, strong friendships, impactful and meaningful work. So these are the types of things that generically help people feel purposeful, help people feel meaning in their lives. And there's so many different ways we can go in through it. And a lot of the work that I've been doing recently, if you've been following my YouTube channel, I've been trying to figure out how these new set of AI tools are changing how we work, right? Later this week, actually, the day after this podcast episode releases, I'll be hosting a 1-hour training about how to use ChatGPT as a professional. So whether you're a teacher, you're a consultant, you're a coach, you're a therapist, there are use cases that can help accelerate your work. And that's changing the meaning of how we approach work, how we approach meaningful pursuits. I think it's a great chance for people to be thinking how does my work matter? And what is really meaningful? What's the meaningful parts behind it? Because talking with friends and family, a lot of people are like, it feels like I'm cheating, or it feels like it's my voice, or it feels like it's me if I use these tools. That's one of the main concerns. And just like any tool, if you hammer in a nail with a rock, with a hammer gun or nail gun, these are all just different tools, and some of them make you more productive. But is it taking away from the meaning of the work how you do it? And that's the question, right? My gut reaction is, do you view it as a tool? No. And the meaning comes from the creativity and the things that you can make and get out in the world, how quickly you can do it. But I'm still wrapping my mind around this. I hope you are too. I hope you've been able to play with some of these tools. And if not, and you're curious, please join me tomorrow as of the release of this episode. I'd love to take your questions and really focus on how to help professionals use these tools effectively. But at the end of the day, really, again, it's this question of what do I do and what meaning do I have to my actions? And does using tools take away from the act of working, the act of contributing, the act of impacting each other or others? And yeah, I think we have a huge opportunity to maximize it. Again, I'm not going to go into a lot of this in this episode, but there's a lot to be worried about. There's a lot to be aware about when it comes to tools like ChatGPT and all the other AI generated stuff that's coming and is here actually. But at the end of the day too, it's keeping those types of worries in mind. We need to be getting in the game, playing with these tools, and making sure we understand what we're talking about. Because there's a lot of, gut reactions going on about how Terminator 2 and Skynet is just a couple of clicks away before the human race is over because robots take over. And I don't think we're quite there yet. But there's still a lot of damaging things these tools can do. So, any case, we'll talk about that on the live training tomorrow. And amongst other just practical use cases, like how to use these tools for communication, to streamline brainstorming, research, to get different perspectives quickly so that you can actually do the creative work of mashing things up and presenting it. All being human focused also, because that's something that I believe in, that these are all human based things. Any case, so we have this conversation. What is meaningful pursuits? What are meaningful work? We've been talking about that on the podcast. Second thing I'd like to ask y'all, and I'm thinking through this AI stuff, other than like, how do you find meaning in work? And I'd love for you to respond either on the YouTube channel or in the comments on Apple Podcasts, because I think that's a good conversation to inspire other people. I think being very clear on that for yourself can help you connect more with your work. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do here in the Meaningful Revolution, is to help people completely revolutionize and transform their purposeful impact out in the world. But okay, second thing I wanted to ask y'all is, who do you think should be on the podcast? Like, I've had a lot of my friends and peers on. I have been looking at a couple of different avenues right now on getting more guests on. I had some family stuff that kind of threw me out of some of my rhythms. And then there's been a lot of stuff. No excuses, but life was thrown at me in a lot of different ways, just like we all experience. But it gave me an opportunity to think, what do I really want to do with this discussion, right? How do I want to help people here? Because ultimately, like, for me, the coaching business, the podcast, the YouTube channel, it's all about helping people live better in whatever way they can. Yeah, it comes to those meaningful pursuits again. And I'll say that word a bajillion different times during this podcast, but there it is. So yeah, who would you like to see on the podcast? Is there anyone that comes to mind that you personally know? It doesn't have to be anyone that's super well known or not, but if you have a friend that's really interesting and you admire how purposefully that they approach their lives, I'd love to talk with them. And I'd love to highlight the conversation. You can, again, leave a comment on Apple Podcasts or shoot me a direct message on Instagram, any ways. Links below where you can reach me for that type of thing. Because yeah, as much as these are the people I'd like to talk to, it would be great to make this a little bit more of a community-focused type thing where we're all learning together, we're all playing off of each other. So I'm going to co-create this thing with you, right? So that we're on this journey together. And part of that is getting your impact or getting your input. Let me know. All right. Third thing on this kind of random episode or podcast thing is, what topics are you most interested in? Again, I'll ask you to comment either on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts or anywhere below or on social medias. But yeah, are there particular topics you want to learn about on finding your purpose, living your purpose, those types of things, since that is the focus of the podcast? Or is there something, are there any of your, what are your favorite episodes that we've done so far? I'd love to know that. I can see some analytics on downloads and stuff. And you guys have been great in supporting the pod. What are you guys interested in? Let's open this up a little bit, again, to build that community that we're in this together, because we are. And ultimately, again, I just want to help. So if you wouldn't mind commenting either on Apple Podcasts or on the YouTube channel again. Apple Podcasts actually helps me the most, so start there. If you're like, I don't like that platform, hit me up on YouTube as the second. But yeah, I'd love to hear from y'all. I'd love to cheer you on. I'd love to interact with you a bit more. I'd love to highlight you. Maybe you want to be on a podcast. We can have a long conversation, or we can ask a question. Yeah, I'm brainstorming what would make this better for everyone. More engaging, more fun. So yeah, let me know, guys. With that, we'll see you next week on The Meaningful Revolution. This is Shawn Buttner signing off.